can test this stuff again. This should be streaming to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. If this works like it should in theory, but I don't know. That's why I'm testing it out. Supposedly, if you comment on the feeds, I should see them somehow, but I don't know yet how that works. I have a studio program now that Jerry showed me how to set up, and I can do cuts, and I can have guests. So I will be having guests. If you're interested in being a guest, you can do it on Facebook Messenger. So in a video call. So just hit me up if you're interested in doing that. I would like to have different kinds of people on. What's going on? I guess we should talk about some of it. They confirmed Tulsi Gabbard today. What I don't understand is, what are these hearings even for? I mean, they just go up there, right? They lie. They say whatever they need to say, and then even if the people didn't like Tulsi Gabbard and Brainworm Kennedy, people were like, even Republicans were like, hey, wait a minute, we don't know about these people. And then she has a hearing and she says a bunch of bullshit, and then they just vote for them anyway. It makes me wonder what Trump has on these people, because I've never seen anything like it. Like the Congress seems willing to just give up its own power for this guy, which is scary, which is another reason why, if you don't want to devolve into complete fucking authoritarian, whatever it is called, I mean, you can call it fascism or whatever you want to call it, but I'm not sure it would be fascism as we know it, like in America, because it's too big of a country and too many different kinds of people, and each state is controlled by, some states are left and some states are right. So I think it would vary state to state how the fascism itself is metered out. But I don't think you could have like a totalitarian Nazi state. I mean, not right away. It would take a long time for them to break down those enclaves of left-leaning people like California, for example. I mean, but even up in the upper West, I mean, if you don't know, I mean, some of those states are completely divided. Like part of the eastern part of Oregon wants to leave Oregon and join Idaho, because Idaho is, conservative Trump. And, most of Oregon is liberal, but on the corner, I guess it's the eastern corner, there's a strong enclave of Trumper type, right-wing people, and they don't like being in Oregon. So there was a campaign going on. They wanted to secede from the state. I guess a county, maybe. I mean, I don't know how that would work, but they wanted to join Idaho. But anyway, because of the demographics of America, I think it would be hard for them to just blanketly, become an authoritarian state overnight. But it's definitely a slow crawl they're working towards. But I'm fascinated, like I said, that the Congress people are willing to bow down to this guy and give up their own power. Like, I think that's the one thing that the Founding Fathers never considered. Like, what happens if the Congress is just a bunch of nutlickers that doesn't care about their own personal power and just wants to be, part of the court, I guess you could call it, of the king. Because it seems like that's what they want, like an all-powerful authoritarian king who will mandate everything for them, and then they'll just carry out the orders, like that. That's what it seems like to me. Democracy is messy, it's trying to I mean, in theory, right, is trying to listen to all the ideas and then conglomerate them into something that everybody can accept. And that's worked for a while, but what people don't get when you're talking about America is, like, you're talking about a country where, slavery was only, 150 years? Less than 200 years ago. There were slaves. Well, I guess it's getting around. Well, no. Let's see, I'm terrible at math. But anyway, not that long ago. There were slaves. And then when the slaves were freed, people were mad about that. But then they were like, well, keep everybody separate. And then that was going on till, the 1950s, 1960s. So now you're talking about less than 100 years. Your grandmother lived in segregated times and may or may not have had the attitude that that was the way it should be. And you know that they're going to teach that to their children, which means that people today who are alive have segregationist views, even though they don't, like, say them out loud. But, I mean, what do you think all this is about? Like Pete Hegseth erasing all of the number of viewers. See, I don't see any of it, Jerry. Anyway, I'm sorry. Jerry's messaging me about how to run this stuff, but obviously I don't know how to, because in the Restream chat. See, there's a streaming program that I'm using, and it should be broadcasting me right now to my YouTube page and my Facebook page at the same time. And supposedly, when you comment on these feeds, I should see those comments so that you can communicate with me like we've been doing on Facebook. Only you could do it on YouTube, you could do it on Facebook, and I would see all these messages. But I don't know where this messenger is in this window, because I'm still figuring out how to work all this stuff. So if you are watching somewhere, make a comment to see if something pops up that I can see that you're talking to me. But if not, I guess that's cool too. I don't even know if you're seeing me. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've been talking, and I could be live on both channels, or I could be just talking into the void. I don't know. Either way, to get back to what I was talking about, I said the people in the government are willing to, and there's also this, you have to understand how the machine works, okay? Trump would tell a lie, right? Or Musk will tell a lie, and he'll blast it on X over and over and over, and someone else will post it, and he'll retweet that, and then they go on Fox News and they repeat these lies. And then you get in your car, if you live here, and you turn on the talk radio, and they're repeating these lies. And what we have now is a world where the truth itself is in dispute. And to me, that's that's a dangerous world to live in, where facts no longer matter. People make up their own story of what they think is happening, whether it's true or not. Like Musk told that story about there's $50 billion to buy condoms and whatever, and then yesterday he was in the Oval Office, which, why is a man in the Oval Office who's not the president talking about the country, who's not an appointed, I mean, I guess he's appointed, but he's never been confirmed by the Senate or the Congress, and he's standing behind the president or next to the president or whatever, and he's talking. The president's just sitting there. That's weird, don't you think? Especially when this man, gave them $250 million for his campaign. He basically bought himself some power, and everybody's just watching like, yeah, whatever. This is totally normal. Like, this is not normal. Especially when said man has $1 billion in government contracts. You know what Musk isn't cutting with the Doge? His own fucking shit. I'll tell you that right now. Yeah, I don't see any window for these messages, Jerry. Anyway, I'm not mad at Jerry. Jerry's awesome. He fucking set up this program where he was working on my computer from his house. That's pretty cool. I gave him access to all my shit. Good thing that there's nothing on this computer. It's not for him to steal, use against me. Anyway, so they confirmed Tulsi Gabbard today. Remember when they first nominated Tulsi Gabbard, there was lots of people that were like, hey, wait a minute. She espoused Russian talking points and went and fucking hung out with Assad. Wait, and she's never had any experience in the intelligence community whatsoever. She's going to be the director of intelligence. And everybody was like, hey, wait a minute. I don't know about this. And then today, confirmed, she blew right through. Every Republican voted for her, except old man Mitch. And let me say something right now. Fuck you, Mitch McConnell. You're gonna fucking act like you're standing up now. Like, this is all your fault. You're the one who blocked the Supreme Court justice. You're the one who refused to impeach Trump twice, even after January 6th. After January 6th, they should have impeached Trump for real so that he could never run for office again. And now, if they're talking about he's going to ignore court rulings and shit, like if he starts doing that, he should be impeached right now and removed from office if you cared about the country. But nobody cares about the country anymore. It's all about their own little power, whatever they're doing. I don't know what they want. I mean, you have to understand that the right of the world is way more united, I believe, than the left. You know, these guys been going over and hanging out in Russia and hanging out with the guy in Hungary, and you know, they all studying and using the same playbooks to establish their fascist, you know, whatever. I don't know. Maybe there's, I guess maybe they're all white, so maybe they're white supremacists, like, you know, network all over the world. I mean, who fucking knows? It was funny that Trump tried to Trump took away all the protections for any Latinos or any other immigrants that were here, and then he tried to offer asylum to white dudes in South Africa, and they said no. Because if they come here, they won't get universal health care or whatever. How the fuck could they get over there? You know, they're not going to get here. Pretty wild. It's crazy times we're living in, man. It's hard to believe that this is the real world that we live in now. But it is. It's hard to wrap your fucking head around it. You know, I think I did those 2 test episodes I did, and I don't think I cursed one time. And I'm already, like, falling into it. Because, you know, if you curse, they'll put your shit down. I believe. The more you curse, the more they stick you down in the algorithm. They try to bury you so no one can find your shit. It's wild, dude. All this stuff. It's hard to even wrap your head around it. I never thought in a million years that I would see this happening in my lifetime. That my grandfather fought World War II. I'm glad that he's not alive to see, you know, that it didn't take very long for him to come back. They're like cockroaches, man. It's unbelievable. Anyway, what? Something funny happened. Oh, these drug commercials, man, out of control. Have you seen this commercial? I forget what the drug even does, but they start reading off the side effects and they say, you could get an infection of the perineum, which is the skin between the genitals and the anus, blah blah blah. And I remember with my mom now, and my mom's old. She's like, "What's the perineum?" And I'm like, "Well, it's the skin between your genitals and your anus." And some people used to call it the taint. She was like, "The taint," and I was going, "Why I don't want to be having this conversation." Why am I having this conversation? First of all, and second of all, I don't care what that drug is trying to cure, but flame and taint sounds worse. I'll keep with asthma or whatever it is. It's like you're trading off for something worse. I mean, it could help you, but it could get worse, And like, well, I had a little asthma, and now my fucking ass is blown up. Now I need antidepressants because this is fucking depressing. It was wild, dude. My mom had to get a phone. Oh my god! Because I told her as soon as I came back, it's almost been a year now, I guess. That I had to come home. As soon as I got here, I was like, "You need to get a new phone." She had like a Motorola Razor or something like. And I'm like, "You need to get a new phone." She was like, "No, I can't get a new phone. I won't know how to work it." And so she was holding on to it, but then they sent her a message that said, "Your text messaging is going to stop. You're going to have to get Google Messenger and get your text messages now because the program that they were running text messages on that phone, they just shut off." And they're like, "Oh, the phone is dying. It's like aging out." And then I had to switch that over for her, and she still wouldn't get a phone. And then the other day something happened. I don't know. Other stuff stopped working, and she was like, "The phone's not working. I'm gonna have to get a new one." And I was like, "Okay." Finally. So we took her Razor down to T-Mobile, and they look. I think that my phone's listening to me. Technology. It's probably Elon Musk, like tapping in. I don't know how many times I've called him an apartheid cunt on Twitter, or I'm sorry, X, or whatever the fuck he calls it. Anyway, so just took the phone down to T-Mobile, and we found a phone. She didn't want to spend a bunch of money, on a phone, so I found a Galaxy for like $250, and they didn't have it, so we had to have it shipped. So I came to the house today, and I took her phone down, and I had it transferred, and she was. It's so adorable, the old people. They don't know how anything works. She says to, but I'm leaving. She goes, "You make sure the banking stuff gets transferred over, like it's all stored in her phone." No, I was like, "No, Mom, it doesn't work like that. Like the bank account's on the app. When you log into the app, you get it from their servers." And she was like, "Oh, just make sure that it gets transferred." Like she's like, "You don't understand how anything works." It's adorable, but very frustrating, because they don't know how anything works, but they can't say that. They can't admit it. So they act like they know everything, but they don't know anything. And I guess because I'm her kid, she can't ever wrap her head around it. I might have learned a lot more than she did. See, I grew up in the sweet spot, man. computers came around when I was about in the 8th grade or freshman in high school. I was about 13, I guess, when the Commodore 64 came out. Before that, we didn't have cell phones. We had pagers. We thought that was the coolest. That was the coolest thing ever if you had a pager. You know, which now you think was fucking stupid. It's like beep 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 beep, and you're like, I gotta go call somebody. And then you strut off, you know, because you're cooler than everybody else. But then you had to go find a payphone or go. I mean, it's fucking stupid, really. And there were no cell phones, you know. And then the Commodore 64 came out, but the Commodore 64 didn't do anything. It was DOS. It was like, so if you didn't know DOS, I didn't know, you know, dot slash backslash colon, you know, like that's how you had to write code basically to make it do anything. And I didn't know how to do that. They had like one game. It was like a disc game. You stick it in. It was called Jupiter Lander. It was just a little ship that you moved with the arrows on the keyboard, and it was like green surface. It was all bumpy, and you just had to try to land it. It was the dumbest thing ever, but it was the beginning. You know, it was like Pong. You know, it was like 2 dots and a thing, like boop boop boop. And now there's Red Dead Redemption. You know, and in my lifetime, that's the curve. There were no phones. You know, it was flip phones. I remember when the cell phone was first invented. People had it in their car. It was a big ass thing, like a big ass box, and a real phone like connected to it. And my dad's friend was always, you know, his name was Randy, and he was always the cool guy. You know, he always had an Audi, and he thought he was cool. You know, and he was the first one to get a car phone, and he came over to visit my dad, and you know, of course, I was living there at the time. And I don't remember how old I was, maybe about 12. It was right before the computers came out. But he had the phone in his car, and I was like, oh, can I call your car? And he was like, yeah. And then I called the car, it was ringing, and they go, aren't you going to answer? And he's like, no, because it costs about $400 a minute. It's like, yeah, you had it, but were you going to use it? No, fuck no, you weren't going to use it. You just wanted to have it so you could say you were cool. Just like having a pager. It became like a status symbol. But then the cell phone became available to everybody, and everybody, you know, you were able to get a flip phone or whatever, or those primitive. It wasn't a flip, but it was just a phone. Like that's how I started with the phone. It wasn't a flip phone, just a regular phone, like a flat, elongated oval. You know that hey. And I've had the same phone number ever since. I ported my phone number the whole time. So from the time cell phones were invented until now, I had the same phone number. I don't know why I brought that up. Well, I thought that was cool. But yeah, and then all of a sudden, the computers got better, and you could start, like, I remember when acid loops was a big thing. You know, I was playing in a band at the time, but then you go home and you could get acid loops. You could buy all these loops, and you could make your own mixes on the computer, like, and then they started getting software like Pro Tools where you could record and make albums, and like you could make your own album, and we did that, you know, a couple of times. You could do all kinds of stuff, and then smartphones came, and all of a sudden you could do anything on it. You know, you had a computer in your hand. You know, you went from Commodore 64 to computer in your hand in, like, I don't know, 20 years maybe. It was pretty fast, wasn't it? Like, if you lived it, like I said, if you're my age bracket, you've seen it all. Like, There was no tech. You know, there were computers, but they were huge, giant, big warehouse machines that only the government had. And you know, to do what your desktop does now, you had to have like a barn full of shit. And even then, I don't think it could do what these computers can do now. Like the speed with technology and the internet, same thing. The internet has ruined everything. I mean, if you ask me, the internet, I mean, it's a cool thing, and it's really cool, and there is lots of good things that the internet can do, but if you ask me, it's done a lot more harm than good. It's ruined people. It's a meat grinder. It takes in these brainless people and just brainwashes them with shit, and then, you know, there's so much bullshit you don't know what's real and what isn't. Deep fakes and fake, you know. Like I said, truth itself is in dispute now, and that's a dangerous world to live in. I've been surprised at what I've seen in my life and what we're living through now, and to me, it's only going to get worse. So you should just strap in and get ready, because you don't know what's going to happen. These idiots are running. I mean, Trump's running around cutting the CIA and cutting the FBI and putting people in charge of shit that have never done anything in their lives, and telling the Palestinians he's going to evict them from their homeland, 2.5 million people, and then trying to tell other countries that if they don't take them, he's going to cut off all their money. And like, what? Like, this has been less than a month. Like, we're in big trouble. Really bad things are going to happen. Like, and these people are not equipped to deal with them. And our enemies know that. So, buckle up. Get ready. It's going to be a wild ride. Anyway, like I said, I was just testing stuff, and I'm going to go now and look and see if this stuff was broadcasting or not. And if you were watching this, thank you. And the real show will be coming soon. Like I said, I have a studio program now, and I know how to pipe in a guest. And as soon as we figure out how to make a title screen and put the music on it, I will, like I said, have a real show. And I'm going to try my best to be a good host. So thank you for watching if you're watching now, and I'll be back maybe tomorrow.